Hey everybody, welcome to the second group of Week 2 video critiques. It's me, Colin, once again, and today we're going to be looking at Guillermo, Anne, Melissa, and Shelley's assignments. That is your group. I just want to start off by saying there was definitely a little bit of confusion on this one. Not something I've had before in the past, or at least not to this level. But I think it was Jared who suggested that I could make some more tutorial videos. I think I will do that, both for this assignment for future classes, and I'm going to go over some of our other assignments just to make sure that everything looks correct. So not anything on you guys. I'm going to point out where your work differs from what I was expecting, but I'm not necessarily going to take off any points for that stuff. I feel like it's not just one person misunderstanding, it's over a lot of people's work, so to me that feels like probably more my bad than your bad. So, without further ado, let's start off by looking at Guillermo's work. Alright, hey, these look familiar. So I'm going to start by, okay, we have the original there. This first one has the film edges, or excuse me, the emulsion edges. And your emulsion edges look pretty good. They look like emulsion edges. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here. For those of you who maybe don't quite understand or don't remember what these are from, basically you would, in the darkroom, you would take like a photosensitive emulsion, which is sort of like a gel, and you would paint it on. So you'd have a piece of paper, and you would paint it on, and then you'd expose that to your image, and it would come up looking like this with these uneven edges. I've always thought it's a cool look both in the analog darkroom and in our digital darkroom. It's certainly a lot easier to do in the digital darkroom, and a lot easier to replicate. The directions suggest making a template on this, but I think there's the reason for that would be just so you don't have to do this process over and over. Some people, as I'm looking through this, have clearly taken a lot of time doing it. If you do make a template for future use, I would definitely, I mean, that's why it's there, because it's a good idea. You might think about, too, rotating it sometimes. So, like, here he has this in the upper left corner, maybe another image it's in the lower left corner or the lower right corner, so you can rotate that template to give you a bit more variety. Not that that was a problem with his images, it just, kind of like a pro tip if you're going to use this technique further in the future. You might have a few templates so that if you're, someone's looking at several of your images together, they don't all like match. I don't know. Just thoughts. And again, not much to do with Guillermo's image. I like that. It does look like someone brushed it on, which is how it's supposed to look. All right. I remember this image from before. I definitely liked it. Now, oops, sorry, I went a little bit too far there. You did definitely add the film grain. I'm wondering what happened here with did you change maybe the blending options? Because it's a lot more contrasty. I feel like I would have liked it more if it was just this with that film grain on it. Not entirely sure. I guess I'm not sure if this was something that you did for an effect or if it was something that you that was sort of a byproduct of applying this. But yeah, that's definitely the film grain. You did that part correctly. Yeah, I feel like I do like that effect somewhat, although I would have liked it. I think I've seen the film grain on that previous image. But if you have anything that you wanna say in response to that, Guillermo, go ahead and put that as a response to this post. You know, whether you feel like, oh, that was, if you want to say something like, oh, that was a response, or oh, whoops, it was just an accident or whatever. So, you know, that's an option for you. And that's an option for everyone, really. You can email me, and talk, you know, discuss it more. You can call me on the phone. Any of those are always options for you if you feel like anything I say was unfair or you're just unclear about it. And then here's your sepia and sepia plus crumpled paper. For this, I'm thinking I like the crinkled paper look. I'm thinking that you maybe wanted to it's like that it's a lot more yellow and brown. I wonder if maybe you had if this is like the crinkle paper and you had maybe a doubling effect, like the color of that plus the sepia. You can always turn these effects, you can make them black and white before you apply them too, if you just want to apply the effect without changing the color on here. Here I think it looks pretty cool. I like some of these sort of folded looks here. I'm not sure quite what's going on there, but I think this looks like one of the preloaded ones rather than like a picture or a scan of a crumpled paper. That's totally fine. So nice work. You got all three of the effects in there, and you did them on all three images. That was one thing I saw, was that some people thought that the instructions meant that you should do all three effects to each image, and it's not really what I intended for that. But sorry, I don't want to go on overly long. I don't want to give you guys to end up with like another like half hour, 45-minute video. I'm trying to make them a little bit shorter, but I feel like that pretty much covers his work well. All right, next we have Anne. Okay, yeah. See, this is what I was talking about a little bit. I think it doesn't bother me on this image, but you definitely did. You can even see that she has the wrinkled paper and the film grain. Again, in my mind, if you create a good-looking image, that is the main thing. So I'm definitely forgiving of, you know, little mistakes or, you know, things that weren't quite the directions if you make a good-looking image. And this looks great. I think part of it again is that a lot of these effects, like the wrinkled paper, look really good in sort of this tonal range. If you think about it in black and white, this sort of lower mid-tone, darker mid-tone, really is effective at blending the two layers together. So I think that looks great. Now this is a photo emulsion. Again, looks great on the image. It's not the emulsion edges so much, although there is a little bit of that going on here. This is more like reminiscent of like the old, before like the most recent Polaroids. They used to have these Polaroids where they were called pull-aparts, where you'd peel like a piece of paper and some chemicals off, and you get the image. And a lot of times they had these sort of edges. I think that actually looks really cool. I'm going to zoom in just a hair. I think that looks really cool. So not necessarily, again, the effect that I was looking for on this assignment, but I think it looks really rad. And then you do also have some, almost looks like that crinkle paper as well. Although that might be the full emulsion. Sprocket emulsion, also very cool, because again, it looks like sprockets, you know, sprocket holes on a roll of excuse me, 35mm film. Yeah, I like that. I feel like these are all pretty cool effects. And then definitely very textured. I like this a lot. So yeah, and even though they're not necessarily one-to-one with what I was looking for on this assignment, I feel like they all look really cool. And yeah, absolutely. I thought great job all around on that. Let's see here. I'm just going to pop this down too. Alright, up next is Melissa. We got the film grain here. And mix with your, I don't remember what this was. This the mix toner? That doesn't really matter. But I do think this looks cool. This is definitely, the film grain looks correct here, and it does look, makes it almost look like it was shot on film, which when you're using a film grain is always, you know, you definitely want it to look like it fits, not like it's just a digital image with a filter applied to, or a layer applied to it. So yeah, I think that's really good. And you can always play with these things too, like you know, go into your settings, or you know, like set up a smart filter and play with the amount that these are show up on your image as well. I mean, you know, you can always do that as you apply the filter, but you can actually set it up so that if you decide you want to go back and increase or decrease that look, there's actually a way. I think I'm trying to remember how you do it. Right click on the or when you're doing it in Photoshop, you go up to the thing, and it'll give you the option of creating a smart filter, and it actually sits like on it as its own layer. Now this is actually really close to those sort of painted edges, but you really, I think the only thing that you need to do was just to make it like opaque, so you don't want to be able to see the image through your emulsion edge look. Otherwise, that's pretty much. And again, you want, you know, you're just basically simulating the look of a brush, where the image part is like painted onto the background. And then, all right, crinkle paper, very effective here. It looks right. It's blended correctly, so it does look like, excuse me, like the image itself is crinkled, and not just like it's a crinkled layer effect plastered on top of the image. And that's what you're going for. You want it to look like the image itself has been crumpled up, you know. So very effective use of those techniques, Melissa. And last but not least, we have Shelley. Now Shelley did some cool things here. She did do a couple different kinds of these emulsion edges, but she also, I feel like on a couple of these, it looks like she almost tried to, like stuff like this, where it looks like you were almost going the other route. That was an option where it was making the edges look like film negative edges, like a large format film edge. This is sort of what that's bringing to mind for me, and I always really like that. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, we did. I'm just going to skip over that ring part for the purposes of this. And you kind of see that here too, except you'd want it like just a little bit sharper for sort of that look. Now this was different. This is sort of that paper look, but not just regular crumple paper, but like paper sort of with the leaf pattern printed on it. I actually think that works really well with the image. Again, sort of similar to, was it Anne's images? Yeah, Anne's images. It's not necessarily what I was looking for, but I think that's kind of a creative little touch, and I think that's really cool. Now, when I was looking at these before, I didn't really notice like a one that looked like it had film grain. I did zoom in on these, and I didn't really see one that looked like it had that filter on it. So that's something to keep in mind. Excuse me. So Shelley, nice work. Did I mention that this was Shelley's work at the top? If I did not, I apologize. Nice work, Shelley. And again, sorry if it feels like I'm going through these kind of fast. It's going to be a little bit shorter just because we just talked about the images themselves. So I really tried to kind of keep these more to being about the image and how the filter affects it. And also, I just didn't want to make you guys have to watch another series of like 45-minute videos. So, yeah, I did try and make this just a little bit more brief. Excuse me. Now we come to that part of the video where I give you the word to post in the discussion forum to let me know that you watched your video. And the discussion, the word, it's actually going to be two words this time, pirate sword. So yeah, like one of those curved kind of piratey swords that they used, or at least in the movies used. So pirate sword, again, just as you've been doing, post it or put it in a sentence. Let me know that you watched the whole thing. Alright, guys, thank you. I appreciate your time, and I hope that this was helpful to you. Alright, enjoy the rest of your day.